Welcome back. We're joined now by Ben Falcone, our second Ben of the episode. He's a director, producer, screenwriter, actor, and co-collaborator with his other half, the actress Melissa McCarthy. He's the mastermind behind Tammy, The Boss, Life of the Party, Super Intelligence, and Thunder Force. You might also recognise him as Air Marshal John in Bridesmaids, and now he's adding children's book author to his extensive resume, and his new book is What's Scarier Than Thunder, which comes out next week.
Oh my gosh, I'm thrilled to be talking to you.
Ben, let me just start by just saying, how on earth do you find time? You do everything.
How do you balance it all?
How do I balance it all? Well, it would be pretty tricky if I didn't, because McCarthy, I call Melissa, my wife, Melissa McCarthy. I call her McCarthy. Sometimes she's one of the more busy people I've ever met, and she can do it. So if I have, half of what she's supposed to do, I would just feel weird if I couldn't keep up.
Tell me where you are in this world right now. How are you dealing with the news? What does your life look like right now?
So I think I might be one of the people that's a little bit, probably to the bad, I'm a little checked out. Just because
you're a little checked out.
A little, yeah. It's just also, on whatever side of the political spectrum anybody's on, I get that people can be frustrated. It just seems that whatever is coming out is just, there's so much of it. It seems just, it's, you know what it is? It's just too much information for me. And
just a little too much.
Too many angry people. So I've started like doing puzzles and stuff. I feel like I'm gonna get really good at crafts if the news cycle continues this way.
Was that part of the reason that you wrote this book?
Well, I think the impetus would be that I could tend towards feeling anxious, and I live with married to a very brave woman, and I'm sort of her coward counterpart. And so the question then becomes like, how do you bridge the gap between, feeling something that can make you feel a little down or anxious or nervous. And the way that I do it is I joke through it. So that's became,
right.
And I don't know, like, I'm sure probably therapists and stuff would be like, but you need to face it. And I'm like, sure, I will tomorrow, but today I'm going to make jokes.
I swear.
So do you live in a house of hilarity, Ben? Are you just all making jokes all the time?
Yeah, it's a pretty funny house. I would say that our kids are, Melissa and I have two girls. They're, birthdays happens. They're 17 and 15. Yeah.
It's a lot of hormones. A lot of hormones.
They're so great. And they're so funny, so they're actually probably funnier than me and Melissa, which is, we're not funny.
Right.
So yeah, but they're really funny. So yeah, I laugh every day pretty hard. And some days when things get a little serious, I'm probably the one who jokes too much instead of just, addressing what we need to do. I'm like the guy who's like, what if I stand here and I'm not helpful at all, but I say like 3 bad jokes?
Sometimes in our household, we have to say, like, I just need everybody in the room right now to know that this isn't something that I can currently joke about. So that just to kind of like to put a finger in the dam of all the jokes that are going to come my way. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to let you all know, I'm actually very vulnerable today. So you're not allowed to make fun of mommy. And everybody goes, okay, you have 12 hours. You have 12 hours of vulnerability. They respect it. They respect it because I carve it out. So like it almost never happens, but when it happens, it's a really hard line. And everybody kind of quietly slinks away because they know they can't even be in the same room and not be making fun of me. Did your children make fun of you? Are they?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, right? It's humiliating.
But isn't that what children are for?
It's so humiliating.
God for children.
Totally. Thank God. It is true that they really keep you on your toes. Like I am, among other things, sort of a hypochondriac. So no matter what happens, like anytime they would like fall or, the girls and anything touches their head and they be, Dad, I do not have a concussion. I promise. I don't have one. And so they'll get on me about that kind of stuff, which I sort of love.
I love that.
I remember before I had children, someone saying to me, the thing that you don't understand about having children is, because I was panicked that, oh my God, I'm going to give up my life. I won't be able to think about myself anymore. And they said the great thing about having children is you stop thinking about yourself all the time.
Yeah,
and it is such a relief.
Yes.
It is such a relief. They're just the great leveler. They take you down and they exhaust you. They break you in the bank. They cost a fortune, and you still love them. It's the most mystical, weird thing. And you go through the pain of having them, not you, Ben, but physically the woman. I'm assuming Melissa did. And then you forget all about it and you have another one. It's a miracle.
A miracle.
Yep, absolutely.
You and Melissa, you work together so much. You're prolific together. You're incredible writing and acting and like performing partners. How do you, because I work with my spouse too, and people are always like, it's so magical that you're able to work with your spouse. And I'm like, no, because we have like a very clear delineation of like, he does one thing really well and I do another thing really well. How do you guys divide it up? Like, what does your working relationship look like?
Well, I would say we're probably messier, I think, than your. It sounds like you have a divided, like I'm over here and you're over here.
Well, it divides up naturally. Like it's not like we don't sit down and make rules about it. It just happens that he's really good at one thing and I'm better at another thing, and it sort of flows together. Is that kind of like what it's like?
Yes, I would say we do have something like that. Like the simple way that I usually describe it is I'm like the boring structure person, and I'm like, oh, we could, everything can kind of fit together like this, and then she goes ahead and puts all the funny things in that are supposed to be there. So she does the really hard part, and I kind of like put it, I'm more like a big, she can go very, very micro, which she's aware of. Like, so like sometimes when we're filming, I'll have to be like, I know there's a plant there that you don't exactly love, but we can just move the camera rather than like repot it. Or do you know what I mean? Like she'll be like, but I think it should, and she'd be the first to tell you as well. But yeah, so I'm a little more like usually big picture, and she can get into the details and in usually an amazingly helpful way.
That seems like a very healthy, that's like a very healthy swirled brownie, if I may.
Yes.
Like
thank
a
you.
healthy
I like that.
swirled tahini brownie. I'm I'm hungry. Did you find?
She's been watching Meghan Markle's show, Ben is What's Happening, and now she can't get out of her own way.
I'm learning. What was there when I guess, how did the idea come to you for the book? Like, was there an unexpected, were you just like, oh, I'm going to write a book about, like, I want to find a way to say this, and then you found your way to the idea of a book? Or like, what was an unexpected challenge putting it all together?
So I met the editor, this really incredible woman named Jen Klonsky. And so I've never actually had this dynamic working. Like basically she was more or less my boss, but she was also my editor, which is an amazing thing if it's a great person, because then you're just like, well, we don't have to clear this with anybody besides, you, right? So I will say that, so I had this idea, sort of being a coward, of like, how do I translate something that could make others, who are possibly feeling anxious about something, like say a thunderstorm, but it really could be applicable to anything, right? And how do I, just take a silly take on it? And so she said, I think I love that idea, just as a thing. And I said, I think it could be really silly. And it's sort of, we talked about it in more detail. And she's like, yeah, I think you should do it. This is when we first met. And then she said, the only thing I'd say is probably I just wouldn't rhyme. Rhyming is really hard. And I'm like, you bet. And then, of course, I get off the thing, and all I can think of are rhymes. So then, a month later, I pitch her an entirely rhyming book. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know what you said. I'm not being difficult. It's just literally, I don't know if it's a weird, small contrarian part of me emerged and said, I can do it. Or I think the silliness of it all just started to go into rhymes. And we were in New York and like got in an Uber somewhere, and literally I wrote a bunch of the book in the back of an Uber.
And the illustrations are great.
Yeah, Kevin Cornell's done beautiful illustrations.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's absolutely
it's
beautiful.
Adorable.
So adorable. Okay, what are some things? Okay, so the premise of the book, if people haven't read it yet, and they should because it's great, Claire gets scared during a storm, and her parents make up imaginative tales to distract her from the thunder.
Well, I wouldn't say I would read it as an adult. I would read it with a child
with
in
a
the room if you
no,
have
of course,
one.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's a children's book. I just want to be clear.
Need to read it to each other.
Although that would be kind of fun. I would be very happy to read it to you. But we did come up with a list of things that we thought were scarier than thunder.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
This might be an adult book for you to write. After you've written the children's version, what we need now is an adult version of this.
We do.
I love this. Do you have the list?
We do.
RFK Jr.'s workout logs and his jeans. His jeans. RFK Jr.'s workout jeans. They're sweaty. He's shirtless.
They walk on their own.
He's so tanned.
They stand up on their own.
He's so tanned, he's literally crispy.
Definitely Scarier Than Thunder. Also, Diddy's baby oil collection.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Much more frightening than thunder.
Much more frightening. And Lauren Boebert's spray tan drip, which I don't know. Did you watch the president? No, you're like, I did not watch the presidential address last night, but you should have seen Lauren Boebert. She was absolutely resplendent.
Well, they were all glowing.
Everybody was glowing. And Joanna's blazer hoodie combos, which are really electrify. You're not wearing one today.
I'm not wearing one today. Ben, you wouldn't know this, but regular viewers of the podcast attack me on YouTube for wearing a hoodie and blazer combo, which I find rather charming, but other people say makes me look homeless.
Okay.
What is distracting you from this world in a visual sense?
Like, I can just go back last night, watched an episode of Chopped with the family, like cooking shows and stuff. Like
cooking shows.
Because sometimes the reason I want to do more comedies and kind of keep them out there is because there are so few on. So thank you for having a funny podcast. But there's so few places where you can put your mind and you go away from the troubles, because even a lot of people are making fun of the troubles, and that is great, but sometimes I just want to escape for a while.
Pure comedy.
I went to the most amazing comic relief gala on Monday night. It was a fundraiser for LA, for the fires for LA, which we mustn't forget. I had never seen Jon Stewart live. I know he's your old colleague from The Daily Show. I was spellbound by how good he was. And he had an absolutely hilarious section about aging, which I'm very sympathetic to because I've got issues with my hip at the moment. And he said that he came up with a brilliant riff on how he now masturbates with his reading glasses on. And I just thought it was the funniest thing. It was so funny. And he just went off on this incredible riff about how he was being given an MRI for his shoulder and he had all these issues. But the real issue was that he just couldn't see it. He needed his reading glasses to either look at the porn on his phone or to actually find it. And I just thought, what a great metaphor.
And let's talk more about your children's book now that we've introed it.
Absolutely.
Well,
Ben, thank you for joining us.
much.
I feel like he was slightly underwhelmed by our list of things that scare us more than thunder.
You know what? It's okay.
I didn't want to interrupt. But I actually, because I haven't been keeping up, I just wanted to double back into one of the things on your list, if I may.
Yes.
Does Robert Kennedy, does he does work out in jeans?
He works out. Oh God, Ben, I know you don't want to see this stuff. I know you want to be protective of your soul. But if you Google image search him working out in his jeans, there's ample opportunities to see him in various scenarios with hiking boots, belted jeans, and no top. Very sorry
Also,
to leave you with that
I know
image.
you've checked out of the news, so you may not know he's head of Health and Human Services too.
No, I did
But he'll
know
be-
that. So
Okay, so
I
get
know
your
the
vaccines
basics.
now. Right, just get your boosters now.
Fill your pockets with vaccines.
Well, and I did read that there was something about maybe if you don't want to do a vaccine, you could take cod liver oil. And I was like, back to my puzzles.
This is wise. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah,
you
I
too.
just want to ask you, have you ever been mistaken for the air marshal on a plane?
Good question.
I have. Yeah, people,
You have?
and people will be kind of like, they'll kind of be like, I know who you are. And I'm like, and then I have to do it, like, because once you've been outed, you have to, I'm going to keep us all safe. That's right. Yeah.
Well, that's not scary. That's good. You're going to keep us all safe.
Make people feel comfortable.
That's a good note to end on. Ben, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.